Welcome to another episode of Eliminating Excuses with SMA. I am your host, Sheila, the accountability coach. Now, today, I want you to prepare yourself because we're going to talk about a tough subject, forgiveness. Now, I know you're wondering, do you have to? And my answer, yes, it is imperative that you do. So sit back, go and grab you a cup of tea or coffee, and join me back here in just a moment as we discuss forgiveness.
Welcome to the sweet y'all. Welcome to the Vitamin M Sweet with Carrie. Yeah, she give all the support to black entrepreneurs. Yeah, the Vitamin M, we inviting them in to what she created, much appreciated, and it can't be recreated. Black people got the keys to the locks now. We gon' make it. Get a taste of culture, embrace the face that's taking over, replacing Oprah. It's all black everything, every day. Get up, stand up, fight for your rights, but be a heavyweight. Yeah, and they gon' hate, but you let them hate. Long as they don't cross them lines like the letter H. You just stay on your grind until you elevate. Then set a date with Carrie so she can tell it straight. Cause if it ain't real, they can tell it's fake. But this is black excellence, let's celebrate.
Did you know that forgiveness is unconditional? Forgiveness should be given to someone because of who you are, not because of who they are. So when you make a decision to be a forgiving person, you do it based on the peace that you would like to have connected to that situation. Now, have you ever thought about what happens when you put conditions on things? When you sit around and in order for me to do this, I have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lined up. Do you know what that does to you? It causes additional stress. Have you ever sat back and just wondered, why is this person, every time they come around, there's something that is attaching me to them. There's something that disturbs me. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I have to call someone to vent about it. Wonder if you take a time to think about whether you have actually taken the time to take away the conditions and just forgive them. Now, let's also talk about the scene where we have these conversations with the people that we love. And we say, the only way that I forgive you is if you do this for me. I have a $5,000 price tag on your forgiveness. How fair is that? So you love me, but I have to do something in order to gain the access back to you when we love each other? Usually the offense of unforgiveness come because there was a connection there. And we sit there and we mull over it over and over again because there was an offense there. There was a connection there. It's hard to not forgive people. It's very hard to be unforgiving. But it'll be better for you if you remove the conditions. Make a decision to forgive, no matter what. It doesn't matter. Because you also understand that forgiveness is for you. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is not for anyone else. It is to release them of the offense and to cause you to rethink the situation for yourself. Now, I don't know anyone that sits around welcoming offense. I know no one sitting around wanting somebody to hurt them like, yeah, give me another opportunity to be hurt so I can get another opportunity to forgive. No, that is not how it works. But do know that the moment that anything happens that causes that person to be in your environment, if you do not forgive, they have the power to disrupt your life at any given moment. So, why would you want to give that power to anyone else? I wouldn't. So maybe you should reevaluate and take the time to understand that forgiveness is for you. Do not give anyone else from this day forward the power to disrupt anything in your life for any reason. And I know you think you're in control. I know you do, but you're not. The moment that someone else can shift your whole environment, you are no longer in control. So forgiveness, for the second point, that is for you. No one has that authority. You have the ability to make the decision because that's what it starts with. It's a decision to not let someone else control the rest of your life. So one of the other things I want you to think about, it's funny though, is that forgiveness for them, they've moved on with their life. Do you know that? You're sitting around getting your stomach all turned in knots and everything when they come in the area, or you can't sleep, so they're no longer even around, but you can't sleep anymore. Or just the thought of what happened is causing you to not be able to function at work, or your creativity has stopped. And you know why? Because you've chosen to allow them to continue to live rent-free in your space. Let them go. Allow that to be done with. Because you can do it. I promise you can do it. And so, the last thing that I want to address is that forgiveness is a requirement. You cannot function properly in the environment of the people you're supposed to be connected to without being open to forgiveness. You do know that you need to forgive. Everyone will offend you. Somebody is going to do something. I don't care how close they are to you. You remember we talked about the whole is unconditional, right? You can't choose who to forgive and who you cannot forgive. I know you're like, Sheila, whatever. I'm not even trying to hear it, but I need you to understand. If we want to take away that power that other people have, we have to make a conscious decision to just let them go. It's a requirement to be who you need to be, because they will hinder whatever you choose to do. It disrupts your current relationships, even if it's not a disruption of relationships with them. If you have a conversation with someone and they bring their name up, what does that do to the environment that you're sitting in? Does it shift your perspective? Does it shift how you deal with people? Do you go back? Do you make the environment now a horrible one to be a part of? Are people uneasy when they're around you now that they've brought up this situation or this person that has caused a disruption into your life? If that's the case, that's why it's a requirement, because it affects who you are. So we already started this first part, and I know you have a lot. You're probably over there a little upset with me, but it's okay. We're going to get through this part. But I want you to stay tuned just a little bit longer. We have a little more to discuss, but I will be right back with you. It is going to get better.
I'm trying to see what we doing. I want to be like John Lewis. I know that I'm just...
Are you the go-to for your family or business? Where will they go when you go? I'm Melissa West, creator of Fit for Legacy, where I empower leaders to create generational plans for success. Stop being afraid to die. Put a plan in place for your legacy. With your Legacy Life Plan, we move you from what if to what's next. Visit fitforlegacy.com for your plan today.
We got all the juice, got it from my roots, yeah.
Welcome back. We are still on the hot topic of forgiveness. Now, I know some things happened in that first section that you probably wanted to cut it off, but I know that excitement of moving forward in life has kept you lingering on. So since you're here, let's go ahead and go a little further on forgiveness. Now, what forgiveness is not, I need you to understand, it does not mean that you have to give them access. Access to people who have broken covenant is something that is precious. It requires vulnerability. Now, depending on the type of relationship that caused the offense that needs forgiveness, you may make a decision not to give them access. If they're a toxic person, you may not need to give them access. Now, we know one famous person that said, if they show you who they are, believe them the first time. I'm kind of impartial to that, because one of the things I think about is how I was back in the day. You remember when you used to lie just to get out the house, or you might probably pick up something that didn't belong to you, wink, wink, You remember that? If someone judged you today based on what you did back then, no matter how many times you did it back then, would you still have the successful relationships that you have today? We have to be mindful that just because someone made a mistake, depending on the mistake, because we balance it, right? But just because someone made a mistake does not disqualify them for access. But I also want to make sure and caution you to know that if it causes you to disrupt your peace in your home, in your heart, in your emotions, you must cut them off. Now, What we also need to understand, by giving them access, we put ourselves in a position to potentially be hurt again. But that's all about building relationships anyway, right? So, the other thing I want to address is holding our loved ones hostage. Have you ever told your husband or your wife, I forgive you, but then you go back next week and make them clean a little extra stuff, buy you an extra gift? Did you really forgive them? I'm sure you didn't. I'm sure you said it just because you wanted to get through that moment, right? You really probably believed in your heart that it was the right thing to do. Yes, I forgive you, honey. Let's move forward. But the moment you hold them hostage to the offense, that lets me know that you still have some work to do. Now, I'm not saying you didn't forgive them, but I do know that it is a continuous process. You're going to have to continually let them in and be vulnerable enough to say, I'm okay if you accidentally hurt me again. We are human. It happens. But do you trust them enough to be in relationship and communicate and ask those questions that we talked about before to make sure that offense is not a continuous thing? Because we know that when those that love us are connected to us, yes, they are imperfect people, but we are imperfect as well. So if we do not want to be held hostage to our mistakes, I will charge you, give grace to those who make mistakes to you. Let's also know that forgiveness is not forgetting that it happened. Absolutely not. We are not God. There's no sea of forgetfulness. We remember. But let me also encourage you that you start to forget the details of the things you don't rehearse. How many times are you rehearsing this offense? How many times are you allowing this thing to continuously manifest within you and you're not healing from it? You know, it is okay to let things go. Pray that God releases the sting of it. Yes, I'll have the memory, but I don't want the emotion connected to it. Okay, that's enough for now, but we will be back. I have one more section that I want to make sure that you are aware of so that you walk fully and completely and wholly in forgiveness. I'll see you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Oh my God, it has been amazing. I know you have gotten quite a few nuggets to help you along this road of forgiveness. So we've already spoken about what forgiveness is, and we've also spoken about what forgiveness is not. Now, I know you're wondering, Sheila, now what? How do I forgive? They did it to me. I do not know how to fix it. Please help me once and for all. How do I forgive? Great question. I have the answer. So the first thing you do is acknowledge the offense. You cannot heal from something you do not acknowledge. Recognize where your triggers are. Recognize what exactly it is that is causing the unforgiveness. Sometimes we focus too much on the leaves and not the root of the thing. So, what I suggest that you do is have a conversation. Can you have a conversation with the offender? Can you have a conversation with the person that hurt you? If not, write it down. Journal it out. Have a conversation with a good friend. But you have to acknowledge what the issue is. It is hard to move forward and create a strategy for how to fix things if you can't even acknowledge or bring words and voice to the issue. Now, after you have acknowledged it, and after you have taken the time to talk it out, to work it out, to have that conversation with a good girlfriend, you have to make a decision. What is this relationship to do? What exactly do we do in this relationship? Is this a relationship that warrants continuing on? Is this a relationship that you can continue on with? You have to make a decision and be honest with yourself. If you're not strong enough to build on this relationship, if you're not strong enough to address it without further damaging both them and yourself, then I suggest you hold off. Continue to build yourself. Check those different insecurities that you have within yourself. Check your pride at the door, because that's one of the other factors in it as well. So make a decision to commit to either leaving it or continuing on. Once you make that decision, it's important that you understand that your decision will warrant action. Your decision that you do to either keep it going or cut it off will cause you to create strategy. So if I'm cutting you off, then that means I delete your phone number, right? I don't stalk your social media, right? Because we're protecting our peace. We don't involve ourselves in people who are consistently causing us harm and hurt, and then go back and, what did he say? What did she say? Cut them off. If your decision is to let them go, be intentional about letting them go. If you have to have a conversation, if you have to journal in order to not communicate with them, do so. But whatever you have to do, make it happen. But the other thing you have to do, if you're continuing to stay together, is make sure you do what's necessary to come together. Now, I know you want to know what exactly that looks like, right? We're a relationship. Put something in place. If I'm building a relationship with you and you hurt me, let's say you stole something from me, right? Now, I may not keep my purse around you the next time we're together because we use wisdom. But I'm also not going to keep it and hey, you know that person over there? They stole my $20, right? So we are conscious about the conversations that we have. And then the actions we put in place is we say, hey, sis, hey, bro, come on over here. Let's go out to eat together. We build the relationship back up. So if we've had someone that has caused an offense and forgiveness is an issue, I want you to always consider communicating. Sometimes it was a misunderstanding. And because we're so caught up in our own things, it's hard for us to be able to see that they love me. There shouldn't be a misunderstanding. They knew. No, that's not the case. They don't always know. And did you ever consider that sometimes, just maybe sometimes, they may be so caught up in their own things that you just happen to just be caught up in the crossfire of it? Can you check the intentions and the heart of the people you are connected to? Sometimes they just have not grown to a place where they can actually love you and tend to you and build with you the way you need. Extend grace to the people, but make a conscious decision to put forth the action and be consistent. Because when you're not consistent, people are playing on those emotions, those reactions. So I'm going to say, it is important that you all forgive. It is important that you take the time to let people go that you do not need to be connected to. It is important that you take the time to receive what you feel you need. It is justified. If you feel you need it, get connected to the people who can give it to you. But let go of everyone and everything that is causing you hurt. And I need you to let go of the offense because it's not healthy for you. So with that being said, we are here. We made it. You made it. I'm so glad that you stuck through. I hope that you took some great notes because it is time for you to move in the area of forgiveness in every area of your life. I hope to see you again next week. This is going to be amazing. Continue the journey. You are worth it. See you soon.